You mentioned tolerance before, like where's the line? And I've reflected on that a lot over the past few years. And you get heated up, gotta fight, gotta fight. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. Humility says it's not it. We do have to fight. Don't get me wrong, but there's a different energy behind it, and I've really been reflecting on it. And again, it goes back to Christ. I mean, where would I mean, to me, it's to follow the cross. Where's the cross? I mean, that's you're taking that ignorance in from other people, which is painful. It's painful to be like to be mocked and hated. But what happened with Christ? He was mocked, he was hated, he was ridiculed. But our power comes from him, following his pattern of behavior. That's what a spirit is. I mean, at least I heard that from Jordan Peterson. It always stuck with me. It's a pattern of behavior. And as you follow a certain pattern of behavior, you become whole. That's the Holy Spirit. It's a whole pattern. It's a way of being. Are you going to be disciplined or undisciplined? Discipline is a pattern. Chaos is another pattern. And I think one of the tools a lot of people can gain is the shift from anger, because I'm pissed off too. The vaccine and the LGBTQ agenda, which is again, it's subverted truth. There's sinners and there's non-sinners. Straight, add straight to there too. There's plenty of straight. You can just add an S on it now too, because people are not living in accordance to what the right way is. I had to look at that part. I look at myself in the mirror. I've had sex before marriage. Am I proud of that? No. I look back with shame. And it doesn't mean that I'm excluded from lust. Like I'm so bad. Like I don't look at it from that, but those thoughts don't go away. It just, what is your reasoning? What's your pattern of behavior that you're going to respond to those thoughts? And wisdom will lead you the right way, and discipline too. But I'd say wisdom more, because when you have a good enough reason why, then at a certain point, just like sex before marriage, all of it actually turns you off. And that's why you have to be honest. So like for me, I had to be honest with myself. It's like I don't want to give up porn. I don't want to do this, right? So I have to come up with a better reason why. But to finish off on that tolerance, the shift from anger. I wrote this down as I was thinking about it. The shift from anger to compassion is realizing that people are not bad; they're sick. I'm not saying there's not evil people. There's definitely people who've crossed that line, and there's definitely like evil, but I would even say those people are even just deeper in the sickness. Because how does Christ? I mean, the people who persecuted Christ, they knew what they were doing. They knew it. So and you have Judas, and on a lighter scale, like Peter denied him 3 times, right? um, you realize they're sick, and sickness is blindness, right? And that comes from sin. The more you do the wrong thing, the more you become blind. The more blind you are, the more sick behavior you're going to rationalize. So I think that as you see it that way, then because the alternative is getting angry, getting mad, and I think there's a time and a place for anger. I'm not saying that never. I mean, I also at the same time I hold the same belief that tolerance has a limit, and a lot of people abuse that. So I do believe that too. But I think there's just so much more power and peace, because people are looking for acceptance. Like the whole thing, you must like me, you must accept me. No, you don't have to accept that. But there's a certain way that I think you fight it with. Like there's a tremendous peace that you'll fight it the right way. And if you wield anger, anger is it's not even it's something deeper within you. I think the ability to get angry without getting emotional is one of the most powerful things you could do. But you don't get there, I think, without enough humility. So I think the response to all this shit going on and the tolerance is just more love. It's more peace. It's more speaking truth. And love has the ability to tell somebody the truth. But if you're going to speak the truth and they're not going to even listen, it's pearls to swine. You're wasting your time, and you're just speaking for yourself, right? Just because you want to hear yourself. Well, God hates fags, for example. Stupid, in my view.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, in no way, shape, or form is that any way biblical, or nor has it ever been. But you know, a great quote says, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook."
Mm.
Yeah, the art of being wise is the art of knowing
Yeah, it
what
makes me
to
think of
overlook.
ignorance is bliss, because for a period I was like, ignorance is bliss. Like, with me, I'll just be ignorant, I'm blissful. It's like, no, conscious ignorance is bliss. So it's the same thing, like with that,
Well,
like
I
knowing
think
what to ignore.
I think that goes back to the knowing what to let go, right? And then understanding that, look, you can't control these
Serenity
agendas.
prayer.
You can't control what your dog does, right? But what you can control is you, and what you decide to get upset about, what you decide to tolerate, what you decide to let go. I mean, that's all on you. Right. And I will say, when I started thinking about this topic of spiritual divisiveness, even though that's not really what we're hitting on tonight, it really came from a place when I started my walk again, when I started to really get back into my relationship with Christ. I felt like I had to choose a side. I felt like I absolutely had to choose a side. And that made me abrasive in how I was approaching these different hot topics, and I was approaching the people that were close to me that maybe saw things differently or a little bit more openly. And I would use words like lukewarm, watered down, Starbucks Christian. But that wasn't necessary, because I think about, what do I really want? What do I really want to understand from my walk with Christ? Well, first and foremost, I've got to look at myself first. There's no such thing as a non-sinner on this planet. Everybody's a sinner, every single one of us. But I want to be the thief on the cross. Like, I want to believe and say, hey, I've done my best. I don't know you, but I believe in you. Right. And I want to follow that. And the rest, that's out of my control. That's out of your control. Not a single one of us leads someone to Christ. That's arrogant to think so. What we are responsible for is exactly this. Our walk plants a seed so that can be harvested, so that Christ can make it grow. That part of it is up to us. The rest of it is up to God. And the way we accomplish that, especially in these hot topic situations, is, like you said, that tolerance is done so with love. Where it does get tricky, and I was thinking about this as you're saying, is like, where it does get tricky is, and what we're kind of missing is, when do you draw the line in that tolerance? Saying like, I've dealt with this enough. Now you've crossed the line and I've got to stand up and say something, right? Where are the people wanting to advocate and fight for kids getting sex changes or hormone blockers before they're 18 years old, right? I mean, to me, that's wrong. And I think most people, the non-fanatics, see that as being wrong.